Welcome to the Mercury Podcast.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, I had a calling. Most of us had a calling about 5 years ago. I had a double
Right?
calling. Yeah,
I wonder
right?
what that is about. What do you think?
I don't know. So yeah, I mean 2020, right? That was quite a year.
Yeah,
And so March 2020, COVID shut everything down in the US, and that same week I got a pretty dire cancer diagnosis. So I got a double whammy and it really threw me. And I went into a pretty deep anxiety tailspin. I didn't know how to get out of it. I tried all the tools,
yeah.
the energy work and acupuncture and therapy, all this stuff, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And I mean, I was going through an existential crisis in my life. And then I had this dream, and it was really pretty simple. It was what I call a movie dream. So I was watching it and not actually interacting.
So, like you're seeing, you did not identify with one of the dream characters.
Right. It felt like watching a movie, really, or being in a room, being invisible in a room,
Yeah.
right? And it was a comedy. It was a funny movie
Oh
dream.
man.
I know. And it was I think it was kind of slapstick comedy stuff that I don't remember anything about it. It's probably stuff I wouldn't find funny in waking life, but in the dream realm, it shifted my energy so profoundly that I woke up full belly laughing and I woke up without anxiety. Like it had been cured. I received a physical healing. And that was really profound,
Yeah.
right? So I share it told me two things. Um, one that
Before we go back,
yeah, I mean just
was it
the
just like and everything was gone, or did it
yeah,
take some days?
no. No, so I was again just stuck in I mean I think most people can relate to having something like a big step function come through and just change your life like that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, deaths, births, big destructive things, right? A fire, earthquake, something. It was like that came through my life, and it changed the way the energy was flowing basically in my body. And it was just getting blocked everywhere. And so I was experiencing really deep anxiety. Um, and, and it was crippling. I mean, I was just constantly it was like this deep soul pain, that I was experiencing, really, myself rubbing up against with my own mortality. That's was really of course, the root of the crisis is I didn't want to die, right? But then at the same time, it was funny. I also was very clear that if I had to live the rest of my life like this, I also wouldn't want to live. So
Oh
it was
yeah.
kind of a funny paradox that I was in. But yeah, when the dream came and I woke up, those energy patterns that were crippling me in my body were gone, and I had this new renewed hope. Like, okay, this is going to be okay. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I still might die, but I can handle it. I can manage this. Um, which is profound,
Oh, definitely.
right? So it really created, I became really curious to learn more about dreaming, and I made a lot of mistakes and had a lot of different
Hmm.
teachers and tried a lot of different things.
It's not so easy to
And
find people who teach you dreaming. It's not something.
no,
It's not like yoga.
no,
You would not know where to go to the next dream studio.
yeah, it's not easy. Well, of course, this is part of my soul path. So I got lucky. There were a lot of synchronicities, and I got to experience frameworks that weren't helpful. And then I was able to finally find a teacher that actually lives near me that could teach me the style of dream work that I needed for my healing. Yeah. And the style that I learned is very animistic in framework. So it's different from the typical Jungian framework of dreaming, though having studied Jung myself, I do think this is where his heart was. And if it wasn't where he was, it was where he was going. my interpretation is that he was living in a very scientific framework and needed to sort of like conceptualize everything and justify it and write about it in ways that, you know, the other scientists could understand and connect with.
But he definitely
But
was out there doing stuff. Right?
right. Oh yeah. I mean, I totally believe he was a modern shaman trying to work within the confines of modern medicine, which is
And when I was still in
interesting.
academia, I heard of like many, many, many of my peers who were like super skeptical about anything
Mm.
non-material. For them, Yang was kind of the gateway drug into
Yeah.
other worlds.
Yeah. It's a gift what he did, the world bridging. So, yeah. So I definitely don't want to put down the Jungian framework of dream interpretation and all the classes and the people that teach that. That's really beautiful. It's not what I teach. Um, right.
Before we go there, could you tell me the two things that you learned from the dream when you had
Yeah.
cancer and you had this dream?
Yeah. Yeah. So the two things that came through really strongly were that dream work was going to be important and that humor was going to be important to my healing journey. And it definitely was. It's what got me through. Yeah. So, I mean, it was profound, right? Like, what a wake up. And it wasn't like it healed me from cancer,
But it
but at
healed you
least it
from
got me
the
on the
state of
steps.
mind,
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
and it stuck with you.
Right. And, you know, it's fascinating. I mean, there's a lot of things. Well, I guess there aren't actually a lot of things I did while going through cancer because everything was shut down. So
Oh yeah.
I didn't have a lot, you know, I mean, in some ways it was nice because there was no one else at the hospital. But I didn't have access to all the things that I would have if the world wasn't shut down. So really, you know, it was my Qigong practice, my energy practice, and the dream work. And honestly, yeah, it was humor that got me through because I did go through conventional treatment. I was really blending those two worlds together because the information I received from my intuition was that that was my path. And I understand why now. But, you know, at the end of my successful medical treatment journey, I remember my doctor, she said, "Oh yeah, and I'll give you a prescription for Ativan for da da da." And I'm like, "What? What's that?" She's like, "Oh, it's a, you know, anti-anxiety like everyone. You don't you already have it?" I'm like, "No, no, I don't know what?" And she's like, "Wait, what? You've gotten through this whole treatment regime and you didn't take any anti-anxiety, anti-depression drugs at all?" I said, "No, no, I'm fine." And she's like, "What did you do?" So
What
apparently,
did you say? I had a dream?
I know, I just didn't even know it was available. I didn't need it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
most people, I think would have said, because I think what comes up mid chemotherapy, right? Because that's like pretty intense. Like getting your physical body to go to the hospital and hook yourself up to an artery and receive medicine slash poison, right? That's like, that is not easy to physically get yourself there. So apparently most people can't. And so they drug themselves. And I didn't know that because you know, I got myself there because my intuition was like, yeah, it sucks, but this is what you need to do. And and then I had my husband there who's really good with the humor. So we just were goofy and silly and whatever. But you know, it shows me like how powerful these tools are, right? Yeah, when you can get through something that is really, really psychologically challenging, with, you know, just using your own body's ways of knowing and healing. So
And you were mentioning that dreams, the way they unfold, show up, strongly depends on like what concept you have of dreams or which framework you're using. Why do you think that is, and what framework are you using?
yeah, so how you are able to receive the messages coming through from your dreams, of course, depends on what you think is possible and what you expect.
Like everything in life. But I guess,
Like everything in life. And it is so true for dream work. And I'm actually in the beginning of teaching an 8-week class with a group of beautiful dreamers right now, showing them the methods that I used and that have been really successful. And this is the hardest part. The hardest part is to understand this level of framework that allows you to receive the really like hypercolor, multi-dimensional information that's coming through in our dreams. So, and it starts really with our intention, quite literally. So the way that I teach dream work is relational. So this is not transactional. I'm not going in like, I need this information. I want you to tell me this, give it to me, right? I
mhm,
want you, tell me what I should do. Should I take this job or not, right?
yeah.
That is not how I approach dream work. It's more tending to a relationship with however you want to conceptualize it, with my dreams, with my dreaming self, whatever you want to say. Tending that relationship, like that is the first and priority with a long-term goal in mind, right? So just how you would treat a friend, somebody that you wanted to have a long-term reciprocal relationship with, that's how I also interact with my dreaming time. So each night we can make a intention to dream, uh, just to dream, or a specific intention to dream with something, for information about whatever. So, for example, say, let's go back to picking a job. Say, I am trying to figure out if I want to take this job or not. I would, if I made the dream intention, um, tell me if I should take this job or not.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one approach. And then the other approach could be asking a more flowering question, a question that leaves open the full realm of possibility in the universe. So, for example, what would I need to know if I were going to take this job? Right? So,
So
you can
less
feel
of
the
a
energy.
yes no binary thing, but
Yeah.
more emotional.
Can you feel the energetic difference?
It's like, should
Yeah,
I
like
do it? It's
between,
like, yeah, you should. Oh shit, now I have to.
yeah, and what does that even mean? Should I do it? Like, that's just so. And then the other, right, is what would I need to know if I were considering this job? So then I have some dreams, right? And these dreams, usually in dream world, we receive messages communicated to us energetically, without words, or in deep metaphor, right? So, and pictures are worth 1,000 words. So, metaphor and pictures and images, they convey these like deep, multi layered messages. It's kind of like the Chinese script, right? Like each Chinese character is just like a whole book of information that it's conveying, right? So that's how dreams convey information. So we receive these dreams. They probably have nothing to do with the job. They probably have something to do with something like, at least in subject matter, completely unrelated to the job. And then we need our goal is to see if they've provided us the information that we've asked for. So if you've asked, should I take this job, and your dream was about folding laundry, you might be like, it didn't work. It didn't tell me. This is stupid, right? Because your perception is only open to this box, this very narrow box of should I or should I not. It's like you want something that you can capture and put in a box and say, check, I know for certain. It's not going to work that way, because in truth, like, there are infinite possibilities. We're looking at what, 2 to 5, right? Our little sweet puny brains can only see a few. But the universe has infinite possibilities. So maybe in asking this flowering question, what would I need to know? Maybe now this stream of folding laundry can speak the multitudes to us, can speak something larger and greater, where we see, oh, okay, it actually doesn't really matter if I take this job or not. It's actually inconsequential to my greater path, and I'm not going to worry about it so much, or something, right? Um, and or the dream can communicate something vaster and larger that we couldn't even conceptualize, right? It's like when we're so narrow in our focus, we miss the even better things out there for us that that we couldn't see because, we're limited. So, um,
So you
yeah,
advocate
that's
for like asking the dreams broad questions and
right.
emotional, I would guess, like not like as less in the head as possible
Yeah, exactly.
and
So I
open-ended.
teach, yeah, very body informed dreaming, right? So we try to listen from our body's way of knowing. Um, and there's lots of exercises that I teach where we actually use our bodies to show us what it knows. So trying to, get out of the mind that thinks and into the body that knows.
How do you understand dreams? Like, what is a dream?
It's a great mystery, right? I don't know. I mean, they're great gifts. And the way that I'm seeing them right now is is sort of like the nighttime side of ourselves. Like, right? Like we do all this work in our waking life. That's like our daytime self. And then we have these like mysterious nighttime selves, all this wisdom and knowing and adventures and whatnot. And in that framework, it just seems completely ludicrous that in our modern society we've decided that dreams are random, static, or don't mean anything, or that we shouldn't prioritize listening to our dreams just as much as we listen to the signs and occurrences that happen in our daily lives. So um, I very much believe that being able to dream is an evolutionary advantage. Like it's a necessity for us as humans to dream. It's a huge gift of our prefrontal cortex and having imagination, right? Like we have the gift of imagination, and that's what really comes through in dream time. And so when we're working with our dreams, that's the tool, that's our greatest tool that we use is our imagination. And that's also uh, what I found is what is the most affected when we do start listening to our dreams is our creativity and imagination. So yeah, I'm not going to pretend to understand the mysteries of life, but this is how I'm looking at dreams today, at least.
What types of consciousness do you connect with when you're dreaming? I'm sure
Oh,
some.
all levels.
Keep going.
All levels. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. Right. So, I have a pure consciousness practice in waking life, so I'm familiar. I don't know how to conceptualize them, but I'm familiar with the various different states of consciousness that one can be in. And in dream world, I've experienced states of consciousness that I've never experienced in waking life. It's so wonderful. But what I've also seen is that when I pay attention to that and when I consciously seed my waking life with those same fields, that I can bring them into form. And I think, at least for me, this might be the most important aspect of dreaming for me as far as how it translates into service in the world. So, a lot of what I've done in my Qigong classes actually, and I don't talk about it, I hadn't talked about it until now, but is I receive these new levels of consciousness, these new possibilities, ways of being, and then once I ground those in my body, I can share them with others. And I'll lead, often the theme of my classes is a consciousness field that I got in a dream. And then I do my best to articulate it and to broadcast it into the room. And that's, again, I think that's one of my primary healing modalities.
Mm. Do you feel your um, you have your dream beings that are like other beings somewhere else that you hang out with a lot, and are they the same? Or I would also
Yes.
imagine that you hang out a lot with your students in dreams,
Yeah, students and teachers.
right?
And yeah, it's always tricky because I do hang out with students and teachers a lot in dreams. I hang out in what I call dream school a lot, right? Where I'm at this cosmic university learning things. Um, but I'm always careful not to attach what happens directly to the identity of the person in waking life. So, right. So for example, I often encounter my current Qigong teacher in dreams. But I have a sense that that's just a proxy for a different probably teacher in the energetic realm that's coming through in that dream. So it's more of that person in waking life is a symbol of a teacher for me, so that when I encounter them in a dream, then I can interact with them in that way as if they are a teacher. Um, and yeah, when I was going through my Qigong teaching and healing certification, most of the teaching and lessons, even though I had some in waking life, right? It was a certification program and checking the boxes, but most of the lessons I received were in dreams. And I don't know how other people went through the class without that support.
Or
I
maybe
don't
they
know.
also received it, maybe they just don't remember it.
Probably, maybe, yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. You don't have to remember. That's true.
That's
Yeah,
also fascinating, the like how we sometimes remember our dreams and sometimes we don't, and you can kind of influence it to a degree, but maybe not completely. And then
yeah. Some
sometimes it
dreams,
comes back like
yeah,
years later.
yeah, yeah. Some dreams don't want to be remembered, but we always dream every night. That we always dream. Yeah, and you asked about working with other beings or allies. I do have allies that have come through in dreams and that I dream with. I don't, for me personally, I don't experience like seeing the exact same form often in dreams, but it's more of an energetic signature that I catch. So they'll be shape shifting into different forms, but I can catch the energetic signature and think, oh, okay, I know this guide or I know this ally. Um, and in some instances, at this point, having dreamed intentionally pretty much every night for 5 years plus, it's gotten to the point where my waking life and my dream life are really pretty merged.
What
And
does that mean?
so it's like in waking life, I'm interacting with half of myself, and in dream time, I'm interacting with the other half of maybe not myself, but my other half of my experience in life. I don't value my daytime experiences necessarily more than my nighttime experiences. They feel more or less balanced at this point, and so they weave together. And so I'll have I mean, I've had instances in waking life that were more like dreams than any any dreams I've had. Um, and so they more or less um, influence each other. And so I've had, for example, I had an animal encounter with a falcon a year ago, and then that there was something about the falcon that I knew needed to come through, and so then I've worked with that energy in my dream and received more information, and so now he's one of my main dream allies. So the two halves of my life are pretty blended, and I think that's just the natural thing that happens when you listen to your dreams for an extended period of time. Yeah, I mean, when I don't dream, I almost feel kind of blind, like my dreams are a compass in my waking life. So it feels like my peripheral vision sort of not there anymore. It's interesting. I feel disoriented.
That the whole thing developed in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, 5 years is a long time, but still
Not that long.
not that long.
Yeah. No. No, I mean, it's funny. I have dream journals back from when I was in high school. So I was always interested in them, but I didn't know how to understand or relate to my dreams. So seeing them from an animistic framework, right? As if like I can interact with my dream um as a spirit, as an equal, right? We can have a relationship. I can interact with aspects of my dreams in that animistic framework also. That really opened up a whole lot of possibility. And then when I overlaid the energetic framework on top of it. So now seeing my dreams as, information, levels of consciousness, and energy shifts in my body and mind and soul coming through, then that really, again, expanded the realm of possibility for me. And I think what I'm doing is really just connecting to the way that everyone used to interact with their dreams pre-modern culture. I don't think this is special. I think this is just normal human capacity.
Yeah.
It's just,
I remember when I was a child, I would always remember my dreams and talk about them and tell my parents what I dreamt. And then at some point it stopped, and I wonder why and how.
yeah.
But yeah, we don't talk about our dreams as often anymore.
Yeah. Well, make the intention before you go to sleep. Have some beautiful dreams, start sharing them, and
Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
that's
Yeah,
what I do
right?
now.
Yeah.
And and I feel since I pay attention to my dreams, they just like it's so much easier to remember them if you just
Yeah.
want to and do it a few times.
Yeah, it's a muscle. A lot of people say, I don't dream. It's like, well, you do, okay. And then, okay, fine, I dreamt, but I don't remember. Well, did you write them down like as soon as you woke up? Because if I didn't write my dreams down like a minute after I woke up, I wouldn't remember them either. And I've been doing this for a long time. I have to write them down.
I feel
So,
also often it's enough to remember like one part of the dream. It's like an anchor or like a
yeah,
door. Then you
yes,
remember the one
yep.
part, and then you can open that little window, and then you can climb back in.
Yep, exactly. Brilliant. Yeah, it's like pulling on a thread and then like the whole tapestry comes
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And often, and tell me if this is what happens with you. Often the thread is something super boring and mundane.
Yeah,
Like, ugh, I don't want to write this down. I was just like doing the dishes. I'm
yeah,
not gonna, but like that's what's holding it all together.
yes,
So write it down and then you'll get like, oh, and then I was flying around with a hummingbird, whatever.
exactly.
You'll get the
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
fantastical stuff. Yeah. I know Noelani said that you studied in Asia, I think, and maybe well, let me know where,
In
and let me
Thailand,
know
in Thailand.
in Thailand, and I'd be curious to know if you know their dream traditions or the framework around how they view dreams. Unless it's secret, then you don't have to tell
No,
me.
it's not secret, but I've never gone deep into it, and
Hmm.
I think there there are three main approaches. Like, of course, there are people who
Hmm.
don't really care about dreams,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and then dreams are pretty important for divination, knowing what's going to happen in the future, things like that. And people are very interested. For example, a lot of people, especially on the countryside, like to play the lottery, and then they always listen to their dreams to figure out which numbers to pick and so on. It's a huge thing. But also beyond that, even in politics, sometimes like you hear about somebody having this and that dream, and it might mean whatever. So it's really linked to seeing the future.
No, that makes sense.
And then I guess there are also a lot of people who try to just accept the dreams as they come and not do much with them, but not in a way of ignoring it. Just like, okay, this is some song where I might not understand the lyrics, but I still want to listen to it.
That's actually beautiful. Yeah. I mean, really, there's not, you don't really have to do anything, but just paying attention, validating that part of your existence, it's going to play into how you live your life. It's just going to. Yeah. And that's really at the baseline what I'd like to bring back for people. What I'd like people to be able to bring back is just that baseline of paying attention.
I think in Western traditions, like all the Western traditions, people have also paid attention to their dreams for
Oh
to
yeah.
know
I
the
mean,
future?
in the Bible and Old Testament, all the prophets were all
A
dreamers,
lot.
right? Yeah, and it was all for prophetic stuff, I think, in general. Yeah, dreams do that. They will show you what's coming online per the patterns you've been running. I don't I don't believe that the future, personally, I don't believe that the future is set. So I don't believe that if you have a prophetic dream that it's absolutely going to happen, but I mean, sometimes it's hard to change the patterning that's maybe going to result in what the dream is showing. Um, for me, mostly the divinatory aspect of dreams, well, is twofold. One, I'm a beekeeper, and that just is how my bees communicate to me. So if I have dreams about, yeah, I often it's really funny. My divinatory dreams are very practical, like, hey, can you feed us? Or hey, we're having a problem with a spider, right? Like, or other things too. But
Do you then dream from the
oh,
perspective
I've
of the
spent
bees?
a lot of time doing that. Yes. It's glorious. Highly recommend doing that. Yeah, dreaming with bees. I actually, yeah, my dream work teacher is also really, she's very experienced bee tender. So that's like her whole jam is dreaming with bees, and it's so beautiful because bees are just such just ecstatic, loving, vibrational beings. Um, and that's why I beekeep, because I like to be in close contact with them and just be a part of their life, really, because it's just so life affirming. But yeah, you absolutely highly recommend dreaming with aspects of nature in general. It's one of my favorite practices, favorite life affirming practices, um, because we get so stuck in our human framework, and that's very limited. And there's infinite other perspectives out there to from which to see the world through, and all the different aspects of nature give you different ways of knowing and experiencing life. And yeah, I it's one of my favorite things is to have my dream intention to be to dream with the spirit of ants, or to dream with ants, and then see what comes. I did that recently.
Do
Oh,
you
it
want
was
to
so,
share it?
yeah, I'll share one part. I was camping, and I was camping next to an ant hill, and I realized that ants hadn't been on my radar at all, and I was so curious about them. And so I, in waking life, gave them an offering of some bread, and then um, dreamt with them that night. And in the dream, because I'm dreaming from the perspective of ants, right? And so in the dream, I'm searching, I'm going through and finding things, and it's kind of like I'm finding these deeply sacred objects. It's kind of reminds me of I think it's in the Tibetan lineage where there's certain sacred objects that are hidden, and then they make themselves known when the time is right in the world.
Hmm.
Kind of like the text of Nag Hammadi, right, showed up exactly when they needed to come, so we could read all these beautiful gospels. In any case, that's how it felt. It felt like I was searching for these little things, and I had this sense that only I had the ability to find them. Like it was my special gift to be able to find these special things. And I woke up and sat with the dream for a while, and it's like, oh, that's what the ants believe, right? Because they're out there combing the forests, and I mean they find everything, right? They know where everything is. They're so patient and persistent, good teamwork. And so, but that's like, yeah, they know themselves to be the
What a
blessed
fulfilled
ones
life.
of being able to find the special things that no one else can find, these deeply needed items, right? Anyway, so that was super fun. But yes, I highly recommend dreaming with, and then just aspects of the animate earth. Um, it's so connective. Yeah, it's just, you can see I'm smiling from ear to ear. It's just so joy inducing. So
Yeah, I
fun.
can see it. Yeah.
It's so delightful. I mean, that's what happened. So less than a year after I started intentionally dreaming, I remember December 2020, my whole world woke up and became enchanted. Like I remember walking,
And alive.
yeah, I remember walking outside and it was December, everything was dead and it was cold and raining and I was all like kind of wonky, recovering from all my hilarious medical things I went through. And it was like everything I looked like was like shining and shimmering. And the hawk was like, oh my gosh, that's one of my guides. And like, I mean, and it hasn't ended. Like the world is so enchanted. So dreaming is just a way, one of the many ways of re-enchanting our lives. And it's really fun.
Do you think there's something going on with bees that you and your teacher are into them?
Oh yeah.
Because I remember I had a lot of bee dreams when I got initiated
Did
in some
you?
things, and like a lot of bee dreams and like beekeeper dreams and honey dreams and yeah, all those things
Yes.
for months.
That's fascinating. So that's how I found my teacher, is because I also was, yeah, I was also having these. In fact, I have never had dreams like this since, but these dreams were more like waking visions. Like they were, I think I was dreaming, but I also felt like I was astral traveling. Again, it never happened since or before.
Tell me more.
I mean, it had a different quality than dreams,
Yeah.
but they were all with bees. Um, and they really like they got my attention, these, especially the more astral travel-y feeling dreams. um and I know there was such a sense of safety and love, and I wasn't afraid or anything, but I was having these very, very real dreams, like I was flying with bees doing things, and then I also was having other dreams about bees, just constantly dreaming about bees. um Yeah, and then my teacher, I think, was teaching a class on dreaming with bees, and I'm
Oh
like,
man.
wait, that's a thing? Wait, hold on, that's a thing because I'm doing that already. Maybe I should take this class. So, um, yeah, her name's Ariella Daly. If anyone's interested, she's wonderful and does a lot of work, yes, with bees, beekeeping, dreaming, and really kind of like a women's mystery school type experiences. So she's wonderful. So lucky to have her living close to me. Um, and yes, is there something up with bees? Absolutely, there is. There is definitely something up with bees, Lars. That is, I could talk about this for like hours,
Talk about it for a few minutes at least.
but I'll talk about it for a few minutes. Yeah. So, where do I want to go with this? Well, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about synarchy. Are you familiar with the term?
Hmm.
So it's been used in not the way that I'm going to be using it now, but it's also used as a way of conceptualizing a different way of us being in the world. Um, and sure, you could contrast it with hierarchy or anarchy. And so synarchy, okay, working together. Okay, is that like communism? No, it's not like um, it's a total consciousness shift. And it is the way that it is a gift from the bees, right? Actually, and the ants too. That's funny. So bees and ants both are known to work in these synarchic communities. And again, this is not about like um, tamping down your individualism and being a martyr for the whole, or all these ways that we overlay and see the bees or ants from our current, modern framework.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually had a dream that helped me see what synarchy was, and so I'll try to transmit that and try to explain it. So, um, in the dream, I was in a fabric store, and I was with a bunch of other women, and it was very gray and drab, and we had our little baskets, and we were putting fabric in our baskets. And then all of a sudden, it was like a flash mob. Like all of us tuned into each other, And it reminded me of when I enter into pure consciousness, when you allow your consciousness to completely merge with the entirety. So in that state, you are so completely yourself, so who you are, so expressing your essence, like full individuality. And you are also completely connected to the oneness, this benevolent oneness, this generative benevolent oneness that is always guiding you back to wholeness. And so anyhow, in that moment, like it flipped and we were all one, and we started dancing this intricate dance that energetically felt like this very complicated fractal mandala. And we're dancing this dance in the full technicolor, and we all have regalia on all of a sudden. The regalia actually reminded me, it was definitely the regalia I've seen in artwork depicted of the ancient bee priestesses in ancient Greece. That's a whole another pin for later. But anyway, we were in this ancient regalia dancing this ecstatic dance, completely, again, in one way, completely being individual in ourselves and also connected to the oneness. And I'm dancing, and I have the full blueprint of the dance in my consciousness. I have that full information. I can see everything. And so for a moment, I thought, oh, well, I must be leading this dance because I know all the moves. So this all must be coming from me. And then I realized, no, we all have this full blueprint in our consciousness. All of us do at the same time. And so that's the best way I can describe synarchy. And that's the gift of the bees. And I've heard synarchy talked about as if it's sort of like, associated with Garden of Eden or the time before the fall. Like it's like this, some people talk about it as if it's this deep, dark, like an ancient memory that we have of the way it used to be. But I don't know if that's because in that space, there's no time space, there's no past, present, future. So I don't know that it doesn't necessarily need to have been something, quote, in the linear past, but it's a potential, it's a human potential. And when we connect to the bees, we connect to a piece of that. And I think that's really important, at least to seed that possibility in our world right now. So yeah, bees.
It reminds me of Thich Nhat
Oh
Hanh.
yeah,
Are you
tell
familiar
me.
with him? And he is talking a lot about interbeing, and he's saying
Yeah,
we inter are.
yeah, that's right.
And yeah,
That's
that's what
right.
it feels like.
Yeah, and I get it. It's so hard for many people to grasp it because you can look at that and see communism or it's like something where, again, the individual, not that there's anything wrong with I mean, I don't know. I don't have opinions about government structures, but, a system where people doesn't matter. I don't even care. You know what? Doesn't matter. It really, I don't care because all those government structures are so built on this very limited reference framework. So to me, I'm like, who cares? But anyway, the way people see communism is that individuals are sacrificing for the goodness of the whole. So that's like really shitty sounding, like, oh, great. Yeah, right? That's not fun. Dude, synarchy is not like that. You are getting 100%. Oh yeah, right. But it requires, it does require like kind of a big consciousness shift for people and da 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 da. But dreams are great for that. Dreams can show you things that aren't possible yet, that are coming online. You can see these new shifts, you can step into them. Um, and and yeah, who knows?
Have you experienced that with groups of people, that you were sometimes more stepping into a synergic way of
A
being?
synarchic way of being. There's been a few moments, a few fleeting moments. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard in 3D life. But yeah, I do believe there's glimpses and that we have moments of it. Yeah, I haven't seen it grounded in a stable way.
It's like Also around the beginning of Corona, a bit before and a bit after, I used to go to hippie camps in where like we would live in the forest for some weeks and cook our food together and live in tents and yeah, basically live pretty close to nature and so on. And it was very often then when everybody was sitting around the fire in the evening that one person would say something. And then my thought would be, oh, and also. And then the next person would say exactly that same thing. And then the next thought came up, oh, and also. And then the next person would say exactly that thought.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, I'm sold. It definitely.
Yeah, it's possible. Where was that? Where were you in the world where you experienced that?
There
Mm-hmm.
was in Europe, in uh,
Mm-hmm.
one in Finland
Mm-hmm.
to a good degree, and then even stronger in Austria in the
Mm-hmm.
Alps.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. I think I think the aspect of the land could be important too, like where you are and I don't know how the land has been tended or I don't know in helping to support that kind of community.
Yet both were places where people would take really well care of the land.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Yeah, it's beautiful. No, I mean, it's possible. And hey, since we've been talking about it today, now it's like 100 times more possible. So,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm still thinking about what you said, those dreams that led you to your teacher, they felt different.
yeah. I mean, I have not had any since. So, so I don't know. I have read some books about OBEs, out of body experiences, and that's the closest I've been able to get to explain what I experienced. Because when I was having the experiences, I mean, yes, in the context of 3D reality, I was going to bed and laying down and turning the lights off. But then it felt like right at that moment that these occurrences would happen in my bedroom. So, in one, there was, a bee came and it pulled me from the top of my head and we flew through a cave several times into a symbol, like a lit up symbol. And
Do you remember the symbol?
yeah, it looked kind of like a like I don't know, like a wagon wheel, I guess. Or I mean, I at the time I was picturing like the steering wheel of a boat, like
Okay.
a sailboat, and I don't know what it.
I have an
Oh,
idea
beautiful.
what it might be
Thank you,
like, or
Lars.
what it might be.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but it could be the Wheel of Dhamma. And I will see if I can pull that up right now. I've never done that.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh,
The wheel of Dharma. Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, my first thing was sailboat steering wheel, which, um, and it was interesting because um, behind the steering wheel, it was an image of my partner.
oh,
So when
okay.
he shows up in dreams, that's often, I mean, I take that as being my masculine side, right? My strong masculine side. So it was my strong masculine side behind this steering wheel, and the best association that I have with that imagery, at least of the boat, is of Mary Magdalene and her rudderless.
Do you
Oh, go
want
ahead.
do you want to
Yeah,
quickly see it, or
I
maybe
can.
maybe you, or do you want to tell about Mary
No, I don't
Magdalene
care.
first?
Whatever.
This is the Dhammachakra in Pali and in Sanskrit, the wheel of Dhamma, 8 spokes. And yeah, it
Oh, that's it.
represents, well, on
Oh,
one level, see, you
that
got
is.
it.
I mean, I have to say, when
It
you said wheel of dharma, like that sounds cool, but no, that is like very it. I'm getting like full body hits. Thanks, Lars. Hey, see these I talk about having dreams that I have worked with for years. This is one of them. So, yeah, interesting. So, okay, tell me more about it.
Yeah, so Okay, it represents the, well, on one level, it represents the teachings of the Buddha, but what it actually stands for is like the way to freedom, the way to enlightenment. And yeah, the eight spokes are the noble noble eightfold path. Mm, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but that's it.
It's well, you it's the way to freedom, to enlightenment. It has a right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, and then three for meditation, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And yeah, that's how you walk to um, walk the way to freedom, to enlightenment, to nirvana, however you want to call it. So this is a pretty cool and powerful symbol to show up in the dream
I'm
actually.
having like full
And
body
like
chills. This is awesome.
me
Oh my
too.
God. Well, and I'm okay. Now I'm going to talk about Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
now, oh, I'm just like, there's all this like, I'm having like this experience of all this like energy connecting in my body to, anyways, this is very fun. I love dreams. So, uh, I mean, I've been very connected to Mary Magdalene and the Black Madonna, and I have, anyway, visited Mars. I'm very interested in the myth or the real life occurrence of Mary Magdalene coming to France on the rudderless boat, to um, the south of France, etc. And I have traveled those areas and visited all of her sacred spots and spent a lot of time in Marseille. And so Marseille is near where Mary Magdalene came ashore with Les Amis de Bethany, right? The family of Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
And as the stories go, she did a lot of um, teaching in Marseille before she had to retreat up to the mountains. And so Marseille is a shipping center, or for boats, right? I think it's the you tell me. I think it's the oldest city in Europe. It was founded by the Greeks as a shipping port, in one of the oldest, at least in Western Europe, maybe. And so boats and shipping and seafaring are very important there. And I got to find it now. I have this keychain that I got from their main cathedral there. I'm trying to remember the Notre Dame de la Garde. So this cathedral is up high up on the hill, and it protects the boat people, the sailors. And the keychain I have, I think it's that symbol. It's like, I mean, it's like a boat. Anyway, I'll have to look at it, but I have it on my keychain, my other purse, and I was connected to it, and I didn't know why. So yeah, anyhow, I think that she's wrapped up in this too. um but of course she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been out in the Marseille harbor on a sailboat. I had a friend that could sail, and it was a very like a gyroscopic experience. Like, you get because sailboats, I mean, they're just, I mean, I don't, anyway, they're not just like stable on land. Everything is stable. I mean, they move and sway and go up. There's nothing um, is stable on a boat, and that's kind of, I think, the nature of the universe, the nature of reality, and that's some of what you get a feel for when you dream, because you're just sort of your consciousness is just sort of gyroscopically floating through the universe, experiencing that true nature, all the fractal possibilities and levels of consciousness in existence. So anyway, now I'm rambling. Um, but thank you for, I mean, you being more familiar with that symbol of the wheel of Dharma. Are there any other connections or hits you're getting that, why that symbol? Why the circle with the 8 pie pieces?
like the only intuitive thing I'm getting now that might be relevant is like I think there is a connection between Jesus and
Hmm.
Eastern
Hmm.
spirituality, which is not common knowledge in the church, or not an official teaching. Um, I forgot which apostle it was, but like the Catholic Church has accepted that one of the apostles had been to India or Pakistan, like this that region. I forgot who it was, but like there are communities in India where people are convinced that Jesus used to be there during the years that he disappeared from the Bible.
Yeah, is it Philip or Thomas? I think maybe Philip. Is that the one who was in India? One of
See,
them.
see, my feeling
Might be
was Thomas,
Thomas.
but
Yeah,
like I
it's one of
could,
them.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I completely agree with you, Lars. That there's so when you look at some of those gospels, I think it's one of the Philip or Thomas, the information reads like a koan. It's very Eastern in style. And I've of course studied the levels of consciousness and energy work with a Chinese teacher because
yeah.
that information is still very readily available. We can still, they haven't, those traditions haven't been broken up so much in China. They've really maintained it. So you actually can, um, understand the invisible realm pretty well from the technology that they've saved from ancient times. That doesn't exist so well in the Christianity um, lineage, but when I take what I know from Qigong and apply it to studying ancient Christianity, which I went through a phase where I had to learn that, there's so much overlap. Like the roots of the Christian church are so Buddhist. um, yeah. So, anyway, that's fascinating. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, thanks for following your intuition on that one. Yeah, you knew there was something to dig up there. I wasn't even going to share the symbol. I'm like, it's just.
But we are still in the dream. We are still in the
That
dream,
was it.
and
That was the dream. Yeah,
oh, that was the
that
dream.
was the
Wow,
dream.
wow.
I know it wasn't very long and it's interesting. So at the time, um I didn't have as much experience with working with consciousness levels as I do now. And so I remember it being really, really hard for me to maintain that level of consciousness, even for as long as I did. So I remembered it slipped away. Um, so since then, I've had some experiences in that hypnagogic state between wake and life and meditation that have felt where there was some telltale, the OBE signs, out of body experience signs, like the ringing and some of the other, sensations or seeing geometric patterns and stuff. And so I'm a little, I'm practicing holding that space for longer now, but I'm it's not really my primary area of research. Frankly, I'm not like super drawn to being an OBE traveler, like some are. I'm way more fired up right now on just simple practical approaches to just forming fun relationships with dreams for healing and for creativity. Um, but it's part of anyone who pays attention's experience at one point or another, right? You probably had experiences like that. Um, anyway, so yeah,
Oh, I,
tell
I
me.
had one, and like it was, but I give you the short version because I've talked in the first podcast. I've talked the whole dream, but like I was dreaming that I was meeting some. I was living in Myanmar. I was meeting some spirits, and then um, they wanted to show me something, but then I woke up and I was like floating
Yeah,
above my body, and being pulled back in. And yeah, it was one of the times. Oh, it was just like,
yeah,
what's possible? Like, what is this?
yeah. How when it was happening, did you feel afraid, or were you kind of in that is peaceful, like, oh, that's fascinating?
While it was happening, it was
Yeah,
very matter of
yeah,
fact.
yep,
It, there was nothing strange or
Yep.
spooky or anything about it. But then when I woke up, I was like, whoa, I got my
Yep.
body back and moving
Yep.
my fingers and like, it's so fascinating and
Yep.
also a bit
That's
scary.
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I there's an old book. I can't remember the author's name, but it's this old book like from the 50s of this professional dude who was skilled at out of body experiences and ran a series of experiments on himself and he writes about it. I don't know if you've but he coined the term OBE, like out of body experience, and he did tons of research and had some of it medically validated, but just really fascinating that he was doing all this so long ago. And so from his experiences is how I put context into my experiences. Like, oh, okay, no big deal. That's what
Yeah.
that's what was happening. I guess if I had taken that further, maybe I could have, you know, flown around in the sky above my house. But that's again, I'm cool. I'm not. I don't need to do that right now. I'm like,
If you will need to do it at some point, I'm sure it will come up again.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, there's many realms of possibilities.
How do you like? What's your understanding of the difference between the spaces we are in when we're dreaming versus when we're in trance or when we're intoxicated? Because they seem, in many regards, they seem super similar, but they're not exactly
Yeah,
the
I mean,
same.
again, the world of mystery. However, I do believe we're going to similar places. Like for example, I I believe in dream time that we end up in a place that is similar in some ways to what we're trying to attain in pure consciousness meditation or other spiritual practices like that. So again, it's mystery. I don't know, but I do think that we're going to similar places. So for me, dream work I think it's way easier to integrate it into my waking life than like psychedelic experiences with plant medicine, for example. Um,
And easy accessible and less risky in many regards.
all the things. I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
Whatever works for people is totally cool. I just, I just, in some ways, right? Like it could open your eyes up to the realm of possibility. So if you weren't already kind of like open to the mysteries of the universe, that could be a huge gift to have your eyes open to it. But otherwise, I think integrating it is really challenging. I also, just speaking from an energetic standpoint, um, and from my own personal experience, um, going through a plant medicine journey and not having like at least medium energy work skills, knowing how to flow energies, understanding that if something feels bad, it's not necessarily bad. It's, you know, just understanding how energy works. I don't know how you would get through that experience without, um, without, or being able to take full advantage of the gifts of it and without it being maybe even a little traumatic sometimes.
Yeah.
I, I I just don't think that if I didn't know how to work with energy, that I would be able to flow in a psychedelic experience in a beneficial way. And then how would I integrate what happened at all if I didn't understand how energy works? So um, anyway, hopefully people that are taking people on these journeys are giving them those those skills. I don't know. Um, but with dreams, it's just so easy. Like I have no problem helping people integrate most of what comes through, at least in dreams, into their waking lives. It's more gentle. The dreams keep on coming, right? If you don't get the message the first time, like it'll come back. It's fine. Like it's no big deal. It's not like you have to remember everything. And they're less like they're just more gentle. It's just more sustainable, I think. So um, whatever floats people's boats. But for me, uh, I think dreams are my psychedelic trip option. They're pretty trippy,
They
right? Some
are.
of them, right? I mean, again, they're here for a reason. It's an evolutionary advantage that we can dream. So
What is the dream weave?
Thanks for asking. So the Dreamweave has been known by many names in cultures throughout time. And it's really something that I can't express to you in words or concepts. However, I am I'm still going to try, because it'll get you started. It'll get whoever's listening started in their relationship with it. So the Dreamweave is a collective consciousness field. So it is an energy field of information. So in some regards, it's similar to like what Carl Jung describes as the collective unconscious, for example, except for it's different in that it's not this nuts and gum mix up of all the best and the worst of whatever people don't see in their lives. The Dreamweave is a consciously cultivated consciousness field that we connect to when we sleep. We can connect to it when we're awake too, but when we're asleep, we are connecting to it. Yeah. And so in my Qigong work, we connect to a similar type of field. It's like, when you organize the energy field before you do a practice, whatever energy practice it is, right? Like I think in yoga or, the LBRP or in Qigong or other things, or like Peruvian and, Andean, whatever, like the shaman practices in Peru that a lot of people know about, the Munai Ki practices. Like we usually start our practices by anchoring ourselves in an energy field, right? So we'll connect to the directions or whatever, right? So when you're doing that, what you are doing is you are connecting to an information field that's been cultivated throughout time. And really the fields are all the same field, but how you view them determines how you can interact with them, right? Okay. So the Dreamweave is also that field. It's this cultivated, harmonious, cohesive information field, balanced information field, that we connect to when we dream. And when we see that field through this lens that I call the dream weave, now we have an opportunity to interact with it in some special new ways that are quite profound. And it's such an honor and a gift to be sharing this information with people. I'm just so glad to do this. Okay. So the Dreamweave has three main purposes. So it rejuvenates us. So we know when we sleep, we repair things, right? That's what science tells us. Well, yes, so it rejuvenates us in mind, body, and spirit, right? It helps us come back to that original blueprint of wholeness.
Yeah.
It also helps to reconnect us with our soul's path. So it is absolutely an evolutionary advantage to be clear on what your soul's path is. This is not just like a spiritual like thing. This is actually essential, because when you are connected to your soul's path, you are not wasting energy on a bunch of crap that's not yours to do, right? So your soul's path is quite specific. And I'm not saying like what's your purpose in life, right? Like whatever. Like your purpose is a journey, not a destination. So when you are sleeping and dreaming, you are reconnecting to what your business is, like what your business is tomorrow, what your business is next week. Are you on your path? Are you getting confused and doing someone else's work? Because that's going to waste all your energy and frustrate you, and you're going to burn out. Bad idea, right? Are you on a path because you think it's a good idea because someone told you should do it, like, to be a good person, I need to do these things. If you are, then in your dreams, there's going to be some self-correcting coming through. Okay. And that's going to come through energetically and probably as messages also in your dreams. And, go ahead.
I think everybody has like both experiences, like the experience of, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm doing what I actually want to do. And also the experience of, well, this feels off and I'm doing it, but if I'm really honest with myself, I know I should be doing something else.
Yeah, we know. It's just so hard sometimes because our egos and conditioning get in the way, and then we end up doing things like working in a gray cubicle in an engineering organization for 10 years and just okay, I'm talking about myself.
For some
Like
people, I'm sure it's
exhausting
their
our
path.
that is their soul path. Was not my soul path, and I was exhausting myself, right? I was just so depleted. I mean, I remember going to work and being like, this is killing my soul. I remember I had that phrase in my head in my 20s, like, this is sucking my soul. Why am I
I had
what am I doing?
a job I got when I was just about to leave university, and really good on paper, but it felt like I'm selling my soul, and with every minute they're like scraping off a little bit more. And it was well, it was an experience, and
It's
I'm glad I'm
it's
not
part of
in
who
that
you are.
anymore.
All good. Part of who I am. All good. Also, not my soul's path. Or maybe it was. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, okay, so there's a third thing that this dream weave does, and this is really I love this one. Um, so when you go to sleep, when we're in dream world, we're outside of space time, right? We're in all space time. And so when we're connected to this consciousness field, we're connected to, I mean, everything, all of the things from all time space, all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the like raw ingredients, everything that's out there, right? And we have an ability to, in concert with this weave and with, the benefit of all things, pluck aspects of possibility, right, from this weave, and then weave them together to create something completely new, right? Like not reheating old leftovers, like creating something completely new. And so, like, we can bring those things through into the world from our dreams. Now, of course, when they're created, it's in the energetic realm. So it's up to us to decide whether we actually want to manifest this in the physical realm or not, right? But we're constantly being given these these new technologies, really. And I'm using the word technology specifically here because the word technology comes from the Greek word techne, which is to weave, right? So technology is just weaving different things together to manifest something completely new. And so this is why so many of our world's most like earth-shattering inventions have come from people's dreams. And these are just the ones that people are talking about. Um, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly good for your prestige if you are a famous scientist and people ask you how did you make this discovery, and you're like, well, I dreamt about it.
That's right. Especially, Lars, if you're a woman.
Oh yeah, yeah, because
So,
then
yeah.
feeling is anyways a bit suspect and
No,
not
then
dreaming
you're a
about.
witch. We're
Yeah,
gonna burn you at the
yeah.
stake. Hype, So, a lot of men actually have come forward and said, "Oh, I came up in a dream." So, the periodic table, right, came up in a dream. The cure for diabetes, insulin, came through someone's dream. Google's algorithm, Larry Page dreamt it, came in a dream. Um, Tesla talks about using dreams. So these men scientists, totally cool to have things come through in dreams. I have found zero uh, respectable women scientists ever talking about getting things in dreams. Trust me, they are. I really believe that a vast majority of the things that come through and change our world come through from people's dreams, and they just don't talk about it because, like you said, there's a huge stigma. um, I mean, it's actually, it was hard for me to find any examples of any women talking about getting anything from their dreams. It's just not talked about. So just because it's not talked about doesn't mean it's not happening. And yeah, when we connect to this dream weave, like, I mean, infinite possibilities, right? We're stuck in a place, we're stuck behind a rock in a hard place, right? Where there's two options or five options and they're all shitty, right? But there's always more options, right? So those more options can come through, and they can come through for anybody. And so, again, we always connect with this this energy field. But when we are aware of it, and when we consciously connect to it, and when we tend our relationship to it, it's just like any of those other practices, like qigong or um, other spiritual practices where we connect with the energy field for protection and guidance or whatever. It's the same thing. The more you connect with it, the more you work with it, the more the bigger the connection is between you and that field. And so this is like one of the things that really lights me up about teaching dream work. Like, what might come through for people if they're working consciously with the dream weave? I don't know. Anyway, I mean, for me, what's come through is really the framework for this class, um, and this transmission about the dream weave that I've just given you, right? Like, this has all come through for me in my dreams, woven together for me to share. But everyone has stuff to share, right? We all have things that can only come through for you. So empowering people like that, just that feels awesome and exciting and revolutionary and very, very naughty, right? Like very outside of like what we're supposed to be doing in those gray cubicles, right? So
Oh yeah, but
yeah,
adventurous,
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, Megan, before we end this, I will of course link your website, but is there anything else people should know if they want to learn directly from you?
Um, well, I have a Substack page where I post ramblings on topics like the Dreamweave, some creative writing, some more non-fictional. So if you're interested in kind of connecting with where my stream of consciousness is going at any moment, check out my Substack. I think it's also under Into the Hum. So intothehum.com is my website. Um, and otherwise, I have the recording to that masterclass that you watched online. So if anyone's interested in learning more about my dream work techniques and how to get started, that masterclass is like a fire hose of information. It gives you everything you need.
Strongly recommend
Yeah,
it.
it gives you everything you need to start an intentional dream work practice tonight. And if anyone has any questions after watching the masterclass, they should send me an email, info@intothehum.com. I just sold out my dream class that I'm teaching right now, so I don't have any. I
Oh,
know, I
well,
know.
but
Thank you. Yeah,
congratulations.
that was really.
But I'm sure they can follow you or sign up to your email list, and then everybody will know when
Yes,
the
yeah.
next one
So I'm sold
starts.
out on this one, just started it. Super excited for this experience. And then I will probably be launching something else in January if anyone wants to study more with me and yeah, learn more about how to connect with your dreams. So you can get on the wait list and find out more at my website.
Great, Megan. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks, Lars. Hey, you just changed my life. Wheeler Dharma.
Who would have thought it? Now I'm really curious about researching the Mary Magdalene.
Oh, a deep rabbit hole.